The restaurant was glowing with golden chandeliers and quiet whispers of luxury. Every table was draped in silk white linen, every seat filled with people who lived in a world built on money and influence. And right in the middle of it all, sat a nervous young woman in a faded sweater, clutching her small purse like it was her lifeline. Her name was Lila, the maid's daughter. She had saved up for weeks to afford this night, a $4 blind date at a place where even a glass of water cost more. Her trembling fingers played with her phone as she checked the time, hoping her date wouldn't notice the fear behind her brave smile. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that restore faith in humanity, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your support helps us spread more stories that remind the world there's still good out there. Lila had grown up watching her mother scrub floors, polish marble, and wash dishes for the rich families of Crestwood Heights. Every day, she would watch women walk out of their mansions wearing perfume that cost more than her mother's yearly wage. Yet, her mother never complained. She only told Lila, never be ashamed of where you come from. Be ashamed only if you stop trying. Those words had carried her through everything, the stares, the rejections, the endless cycle of poverty. So when a coworker at the cafe she worked in set her up on a blind date, Lila hesitated but finally said yes. She wanted, just for one evening, to feel normal, to laugh, to talk, to belong. She wore her best outfit, a black sweater borrowed from her friend and a red tie her mother ironed for her, whispering that she looked like a lady from the movies. But as she stepped into the glittering restaurant that night, she instantly felt out of place. Her date hadn't arrived yet, and she could already feel the weight of eyes judging her cheap shoes, her trembling hands, her thrifted clothes. Waiters passed by with polite smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Her heart sank deeper with every passing minute. She sipped her water slowly, each drop stretching the time she could stay without ordering anything expensive. In her purse sat exactly $4.27, the total of her weekly savings. At the next table sat Adrian Vale, the only son of one of the city's most powerful billionaires. He was used to people pretending around him, fake smiles, rehearsed charm, conversations that always circled back to his father's wealth. But tonight, his attention wasn't on the business meeting he was supposed to attend. It was on the girl sitting alone by the window, nervously twisting her napkin, her eyes darting toward the entrance as if she still had hope someone might show up. There was something painfully real about her, something that didn't belong in that glittering room. Minutes turned into an hour. The restaurant's hum faded into a quiet ache as Lila finally realized her date wasn't coming. She tried to smile, but the tears forming in her eyes betrayed her. She didn't want to cry there, not in front of all those polished people, not where she already felt so small. She picked up her purse and called for the bill, embarrassed and desperate to leave before anyone noticed her humiliation. But someone had noticed. Adrian quietly told the waiter to bring her check to his table. When Lila reached for her tiny purse, the waiter smiled softly and said, "It's already taken care of, miss." Confused, she looked around until her eyes met Adrian's. He gave her a gentle nod, not out of pity but out of simple kindness, the kind that says I see you, and you deserve better than this. Lila felt her face flush with shame and gratitude all at once. She mouthed a quiet thank you, then quickly left before her tears could fall. She walked out into the cold night, feeling both humiliated and strangely moved. She didn't know who that man was, and she certainly didn't expect to see him again. But Adrian couldn't stop thinking about her. Something about her loneliness reminded him of his own. Despite his wealth, his life was filled with people who wanted pieces of him, his money, his connections, his name. No one ever wanted him. So the next morning, he asked around. It didn't take long to find out that the girl he'd seen was the maid's daughter from one of his family's properties, the same house where his mother's longtime employee, Rosa, worked tirelessly every day. When he visited the estate the next weekend, he saw Lila again, sweeping the marble stairs with her mother. Her head was down, her movements quick and quiet. For a moment, Adrian hesitated. But then he walked up to her and thanked her mother for her years of service, turning to Lila and saying softly, "You have a good heart. Don't hide it." Lila didn't know how to respond. The son of her mother's boss speaking kindly to her felt like something out of a dream. Over the next few weeks, Adrian began to visit the cafe where she worked. He'd order coffee, nothing fancy, and sit quietly, watching her handle rude customers with grace and patience. They started to talk, at first awkwardly, then more easily. She learned he wasn't arrogant or spoiled like she'd imagined. He told her he admired how she worked so hard despite everything stacked against her. She told him she didn't need pity, she needed opportunity. And he gave her one. Adrian helped her apply for a scholarship his family foundation offered but rarely publicized. Lila hesitated, feeling undeserving, but he insisted that talent deserved a chance, not just privilege. Months later, she received a letter that changed everything. She had been awarded a full scholarship to study business and management. When she told her mother, they both cried, tears of disbelief, relief, and pride. News spread quickly, and soon everyone in the Vale household knew about the maid's daughter who had impressed the billionaire's son. Many whispered that Adrian was out of his mind, that his kindness was misplaced. But Adrian didn't care. He saw in Lila something the world had long forgotten, dignity that no amount of money could buy. Years later, Lila graduated top of her class. She didn't just build a new life for herself, she started a foundation that helped underprivileged women get education and jobs. She called it the Second Chance Project, inspired by the moment a stranger's kindness changed her path. And on the day she launched her organization, Adrian was there, not as the billionaire's son, but as a proud friend who had believed in her when no one else did. Sometimes, kindness doesn't come wrapped in grand gestures. Sometimes, it's a quiet act, paying for someone's meal, offering a word of encouragement, giving someone a chance to stand tall again. Lila's story wasn't about wealth or status, it was about what happens when compassion breaks through the walls of class and pride. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Every click helps us reach more hearts with stories that remind us the world still has good people. Speech Balloon special request, tell us in the comments, what's one act of kindness you'll never forget? Because in the end, sometimes all it takes is one small act of kindness to change someone's entire world. Hesitation but didn't push. He walked with her quietly, simply grateful for the moments they had shared. At the corner of the street, they paused. The soft city lights reflected in Amelia's eyes, and Adrian felt a rush of emotion he didn't expect. He wanted to tell her who he was. He wanted to tell her how much she had moved him that evening. But he knew it wasn't the right moment. Amelia, unsure of what to say, simply thanked him and prepared to walk away, thinking she might never see him again. But as she took a few steps, Adrian called out softly, not loudly, not dramatically, just enough for her heart to hear. And in that quiet call, she felt something shift deep inside her. She turned back, saw the sincerity in his expression, and realized that maybe, just maybe, someone had finally seen her for who she really was. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your engagement helps us continue creating emotional, meaningful stories that remind the world of compassion and connection. Before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe true love sees beyond appearances?